Oh,
Chapter 1, Introductions.
Granny, the rusty old water pump is broken again, Applebloom
Applebloom
shouted.
shouted from the back of the porch. She gave the pump a kick in one last attempt, but it still wouldn't yield. Granny sat in a rocking chair in the front porch, soaking in the warmth of the sun and glancing out at the farm. It was a gorgeous day. The skies were clear, and there was a light breeze blowing through Sweet Apple Acres.
Maybe you should go into town, dear, and get some help from the pear shop. Don't go alone, though.
Granny Smith said. Applebloom walked to the porch.
Where's Applejack?
She questioned in a particularly adorable manner.
I think she went off to visit her friends, dear. Maybe Big Mac could take you instead.
Granny said. Yup, Big Mac said, walking out of the house. Applebloom gestured for Big Mac to follow her, and they left the farm, closing the gate behind them.
Be back by sunset.
Granny Smith said. Applebloom and Big Mac trotted off towards Ponyville, leaving Granny to doze off in her chair. Ponyville was a good 20 minutes away from Sweet Apple Acres, so they took their time. The repair shop was located in the center of town, just past the marketplace. It was a fair-sized crimson building that stood out among the more common housing in town. A huge wooden sign hung over the door, which read, Hammer Plank Supplies and Repair. There was a mailbox next to the door, which at the moment was empty. A smaller sign nearby the window read, Yes, we're open. Big Mac and Applebloom stepped into the shop, and a small bell chimed as the door swung open. Be with you in a sec! A stallion's voice rang from behind the workbench at the shop. No, that won't do. Darn it. Could have sworn it was here. The voice said in a frustrated tone. Clinking metallic sounds could be heard as he was obviously sifting through a toolbox. Dang it!
Hey, big bro, will this work?
A noticeably smaller, younger voice said. Nope. Now to get some pliers twisting and screwing that wheel. The first voice replied. An average-sized stallion got from under the bench and ran his hoof through his mane. It was a denim blue pony with a charcoal black mane that was long and unkempt, since more often than not he was probably too busy to work, and didn't have the time to look out for it. His tail was scruffy and of medium length, and his eyes were gray, which shined like dusty pearls. On his flank was a small gray wrench, a clear indicator of his attributes. He wore a typical worker's vest with a name tag that read Fix. He looked very tall for a stallion, but Big Mac still dwarfed him immensely. A smaller colt appeared behind him. He was much lighter blue with a scruffy navy blue mane that seemed to be all over the place. His eyes were a deeper amber color, and his voice was marked with a small, gray hexagonal nut. Clearly, he was a relative and pupil of Fix. Nut, I need a torque wrench. Any chance you got hiding somewhere in your room? Fix asked.
Remember the last time I did that, Uncle Plank gave me quite a fuss about misplacing his tools.
Nut said with some remorse. I remember that. Don't think you're the one who got that talk, Fix said with a smile, elbowing his little brother. Anyhow, see if you can't find it until I take care of this custom. Fix looked up to see the familiar red stallion looking in front of him. By Celestia! Big Mac? No way, Fix said with glee. Yup, Big Macintosh said. Wow, it's been forever since I last saw you. How you been doing? Fix asked in a cheerful manner. Mighty fine. We'll admit, though, hasn't been the same without you, Big Mac replied. Fix looked down at Big Mac's side to see the yellow and red filly with a confused expression on her face. And who might this be? Fix asked.
My name's Applebloom,
she answered. Fix extended a hoof out to Applebloom. Well, it's nice to meet you, Applebloom. Name's Fix It Up, but you can call me Fix, he said.
Pleasure to meet you.
Applebloom said rather happily. Numbolt decided to poke his head out to see what was going on and who Fix was talking to. Before he could ask, Big Mac beat him to the punch. Who's this little guy? Big Mac asked. Nut introduced himself.
I'm Nut and Bolt, Fix's little brother,
he said with an easily detectable semblance of pride. I'm Big Macintosh, an old friend of your brother Fix. Nice to meet you, the big stallion remarked. Applebloom inspected Nut head to hoof, only to find that he, too, already had his cutie mark, much to her dismay.
Oh, come on! This one's got a cutie mark, too? Why can't I have one?
Applebloom asked, almost enraged and most certainly irritated. Some pony woke up on the wrong side of the haystack, Fix stated. She's a bit fussy about cutie marks, 'cause she don't have one yet, Big Mac grumbled. Fix looked at the civilian and spoke. Oh, it's okay, Applebloom. Every pony gets theirs eventually.
That's what every pony says.
Applebloom yelled out before Big Mac put a hoof over her mouth.
Bro, what does he mean about not being the same without you here?
Nut asked in a confused manner. Oh, man, I never did tell about that, did I? I'll tell you sometime. Just remind me, would you? Fix said, chuckling a little bit. As good as it is to see you again. We're here on business. Our water pump stopped working recently, and we thought maybe we could get Plank or some pony to fix it for us, Big Mac said. Fix scratched his head for a moment, then cheerfully responded. Well, I'm afraid Uncle Hammer Plank is out running an errand right now and left me and Nut to watch the shop, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind if I stepped out for a bit to help a friend.
How much is it going to cost us?
For y'all, absolutely no charge. If I'm fixing it, that means I get to go back to Sweet Apple Acres again. It's been years since I saw those apple groves. I think that'll be odd payment on its own. Let's go on. Let's go ahead on out. Nut, grab the tool set, would you? Fix said, walking out from behind the counter, grabbing the hat and removing his work vest. You still got that old thing? Fix donned the black cowboy hat. It was dusty and worn, but still in pretend shape. I'd never get rid of it. Not in a million years. Fix said with a smile. The group walked out of the store and headed on their way to Sweet Apple Acres. So, how are things going around these parts, Mac? Fix asked.
It's been going okay. The farm's been good to us. Not much has changed since you left, other than the little apple boom now being in the picture. How about you?
Big Macintosh asked. Well, just got in town the other day. I had every intention to come home here right away, but my plate was absolutely full. Still, this I'll do. Let me tell you, Manhattan, it just doesn't feel like home, even if it's where I was born. Fix said with a pang of regret. Applebloom gave Fix a quizzical look and said,
Likely story. You sure don't look like a stallion from Manhattan.
Yeah, I know. The time around the family can change your manners in a good bit. Like I said, never did fit in with the Manhattan folk, Fix said.
How come I've never seen that hat before, Nick? Fix?
Nut asked. Fix didn't notice, but since they had left the store, Nut hadn't taken his eyes off it. Fix was silent for a second and replied with, because this hat's pretty important to me. Never wanted to see nothing happen to it. Applebloom, disinterested, began to strike up a conversation with Nut and Bolt, which gave Mac and Fix a chance to talk without being listened to by nosy siblings.
So what brings you down to Ponyville again?
Well, to put across simply, family business needed help. Thanks to getting older and really needed help running the shop. So I gladly volunteered to come down. Plus, I really needed help. I really wanted to come back where I consider home anyways. It's not much more complicated than that, Fix said. They approached the gate at Sweet Apple Acres. Fix looked out the surrounding area. The farmhouse stood out in the distance. Next to it was the red barn, and beyond it were the apple groves. Fix sighed happily. Wow, he said. It's just how I remembered it all those years ago. Doesn't seem like a single thing's changed. Thomas?
I thought you were doing Applejack, man. I thought you said you could do a great Applejack.
Hey, man, I've done half the reading so far.
I didn't expect you to be... Whatever. Hey, Big Mac!
A familiar voice shouted, though deeper than Fix remembered it. He turned around to see an orange mare galloping up to the gate. Her blonde mane flowed behind her, and her hat swayed back in the wind as she approached the group. Her emerald eyes glistened in the sunlight. Fix thought that he felt his heart skip a beat.
Granny said you and Applebloom had gone into town to get the pump fixed. Were you able to...
She began as she noticed the blue standing next to Big Mac.
Fix!
She gasped. Applejack, ah! Fix said, as Applejack gave him a very tight and slightly painful hug. As rough as the hug was, for some reason, he didn't fight it. His face displayed the most peculiar mix of joy and pain.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that you're actually here. I thought you'd never come back.
Applejack shouted, still gripping Fix tightly. Jack, ow, Fix said, struggling to breathe.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm just so happy to see you and all.
Applejack said as she relinquished her grip on Fix. Oh, right. No, it's fine. That actually was my day, actually. It's great to see you too, Jack. You don't look like you changed a bit. Well, he choked in his words. Well, I guess you haven't grown up a bit since I last saw you, Fix said. He could feel himself turning a little red, though honestly, he had no idea why. What am I getting all nervous about? Something right here, Fix thought. Applejack gave him a playful smile.
Well, you've certainly done some growing as well, Sugar Cube. And look, you still got that old hat I gave you.
She said, pointing out the black hat that he was still wearing. Fix felt something strange again. Sugar Cube. It had been some time since he'd been called that. Like I told Big Mac, I'd never get rid of it, Fix said as he readjusted the hat on his head. After all, you did give it to me.
Yeah, looks like your head finally fit into it, too. It looks good on you, Fix.
Applejack said, laughing a little. She looked down and saw a Nut standing behind Fix, staring at her with curiosity.
Who's this little fella?
Applejack asked. Nut walked out from behind Fix and introduced himself again.
I'm Nut and Bolt, Fix's little brother. Everybody just calls me Nut, though.
He said in the same prideful tone as before. Applejack giggled at him.
Well, aren't you just about the most adorable critter I ever done seen?
She said, ruffling his mane. Applejack glared at her a little.
Okay, maybe the second most adorable.
Applejack said, giving Applejack an apologetic look. So, where's Granny Smith? She's still living here, ain't she? Fix asked.
Yeah, she's in the house. It's great weather we're having, but old Granny can only stand so much of it. She's probably inside right now whipping up something for dinner. But what brings you here anyway, Fix?
Applejack asked. Big Mac told me about the broken water pump, and I have to come down and take a look at it, Fix said.
That's what Granny said. I just gotten back from town and needed Big Mac's help with something. That's when I noticed him and Applebloom went missing.
Applejack said. Wait, you're asking for somebody for help? Fix asked quite sarcastically.
Yeah, learned my lesson about biting off more than I could chew a while back.
Applejack said, rolling her eyes. Hey, yep, Big Mac said, smiling to himself. So, about that water pump, Fix mentioned.
Right. Yeah, it's been a real big fuss lately.
Applejack said. Well, let's go take a look at it, Fix said with enthusiasm. They began walking towards the pump. Fix glanced out into the apple groves. The apple trees seemed to go on forever, and the farm seemed to be a lot bigger than Fix had remembered. It didn't matter, though. He was just happy to be at Sweet Apple Acres again.
All right, here it is.
Applejack said. Fix looked at the old water pump. The red paint was chipping off in a few places, and a few small parts on it were rusted. Other than that, it looks like it should have been working just fine. He used a wrench to mess with a couple of widgets and removed the lever and the top part of the faucet. Then he looked inside the tubing. Nut, I'm gonna need the pliers. Looks like something stuck in there, Fix said.
Sure thing, bro.
Nut replied as he began shuffling through the tool bag.
How come Nut carries around this fly?
Applejack asked. Well, usually I don't bring Nut along when we're going out to fix things, but a while back he insisted that he wanted to be more useful since it's too small so to use bigger tools. So he started helping out by carrying the tools for me. I also helped him learn all the different names and sizes of each tool we use. He caught on that pretty quick. I ended up getting his cutie mark too, let me tell you. You won't see him grab the tool and have it by your side fast and little Nut here. He's the best assistant, best little brother a Stallion could ever ask for. Plus, him lugging around the tools, give him a little workout every now and then. Fix asked as he chuckled to himself. Applejack nodded understanding. Nut had to fix the pliers. Nut held them in his teeth, put the pliers to the tube, grabbed onto something, and pulled. Suddenly, water burst out of the pipe, and Fix ended up covered in water, with an extremely dismayed expression on his face. At the end of his pliers, still held in his mouth, with an extremely saturated apple core. Ah, shoot, my hat! Fix yelled in dismay, dropping the pliers on the ground. He quickly pulled off his hat to inspect it. The hat was now soaked in water and began to droop around the edges. Fix stared at Applejack with guilt.
Oh, don't worry about it, Sugar Cube. It's just water. It'll dry off.
Applejack said, patting Fix on the shoulders. Yeah, I guess you're right, Fix said, shaking the hat off and readjusting the top of his head once more. Applejack turned away from Fix and looked at the apple core on the ground that had been pulled from the pipe.
How in the hay did that get in there?
Applejack asked, looking at the others. Big Mac simply shrugged, and the Applejack spotted Apple Bloom, who was behind Big Mac. She had a pretty good idea of who the culprit was.
Apple Bloom.
Applejack said, disappointed.
I was just trying to make apple juice, honest.
She said in a slightly defensive tone. Big Mac slapped his hoop against his face and shook his head. Dang it, Apple Bloom. That ain't how you make apple juice, Big Mac said. Applejack looked at her disappointed siblings and apologized with,
I'm sorry. I thought if I put an apple core in there, the water would taste like apple juice.
in a pitiful, sad tone, accompanied by her infamous, sad-eyed face. Oh, Applejack, I thought you told Philly how to make apple juice by now, Fix said. Applejack shrugged.
I guess the thought never occurred to me.
Applejack replied. Applejack continued to look at everyone with a sad expression never seen. It's impossible to say the matter, isn't it? Fix said. Everyone else nodded. Fix reassembled the pump and pulled out the lever to see if it would work again after this time. Water came gushing out of the faucet, and Fix nodded to himself in satisfaction.
Well, I guess that takes care of that issue. So, who's hungry?
Applejack asked her company. She could see Apple and Big Mac's eyes light up with attention, but she also noticed Fix's reaction to the question.
Say, Fix, would you and Nut care to stick around for dinner? I bet Grinny whipped up something real good tonight.
Applejack said in a hopeful manner. Oh, I couldn't possibly intrude in your company. I mean, I don't want to be a bother or nothing, Fix said.
Nonsense, Sugar Cube, but it would be great to have you over again for the family meal. Come on in.
She replied. There she went, calling him Sugar Cube again. They moved up to the porch and into the house. Upon entering the house, Fix and Applejack removed their hats, which got a quite puzzled look from Nut.
One minute you're wearing a hat I've never seen before, and the next minute you're taking it off. I don't get it.
Nut said, completely confused by his brother's reaction. It's the hospitality thing. It's rude to wear a hat indoors, you know, Fix said to Nut. Plus, need to let it dry off now.
Good to see that living in Manhattan hasn't made you forget your manners, Fix.
Applejack said. There's a lot here I haven't forgotten, Fix said. Nut was completely confused. His brother seemed different today. Fix was surprised at how well furnished the home was. Family pictures, a painting or two of Sweet Apple Acres, a bronze first apple tree bucked by trophy, plaque for each pony. Applejack had a bite mark in it, and, as usual, wooden reliable seating arrangements. One picture that stood up to Fix was one near the back of the collection labeled Part of the Family, in which he appeared. He forgot about that. He He'd forgotten about that photo. The Apple family had taken it the day before Fix had left town. The Apple family was a peculiar one, to be honest. You do enough for the family, and in the strangest way, they accept you as a member of the family, especially when you worked with them there for several months.
Fix? Oh, goodness, look how much you've grown since you were a colt.
Granny said, with the same. Granny said it as she came into the room to meet up with the group at the door. Fix couldn't give her the type of bear hug he used to when he was little. He was a stallion now, and a decently strong one at that. As such, he gave Granny a much gentler hug. It had, after all, been years since he had seen her. So no doubt she was a little more fragile. "Oh, Granny, look at you. You don't look like you've aged one bit, looking pretty as ever," Fix said in a flattering tone. Granny giggled a little.
Oh, Fix, you're too kind. Well, I guess this means we have some guests eating with us tonight. It's a good thing I made extra.
Granny said. They all took their seats and started with some small talk over the various apple-related foods that Granny had made. Fix had forgotten how good these meals were. He also forgotten how much he missed them.
So, Fix, what did you think of Manhattan?
Applejack asked. "Might be where I was born, but it never ever felt like home after I lived here in Ponyville. This town is still home to me," Fix said. "Yep."
So, what is Manhattan like?
Applebloom asked.
It's like Ponyville, but huge.
Nut remarked, waving his hooves above his head to form an arc. He remembers it more fondly than I do. It's a nice place if you can afford it, but it's all about fitting into cliques. I can't stand that myself. Dad fitting in the city now is quite nicely, but despite there being a couple of workshops here and there in Manhattan, I never did feel much accepted. In other words, it's a great place to be if you're uptight and want to put your snout up in there and consider you're lesser. Real pretty or not, though, I'll give it that much, Fix said.
Yeah, Manhattan is certainly something else with all them city lights.
Applejack said, nodding in agreement. "So, how about you guys? What's new?" Fix asked.
You may or may not know, but Apple Blue and I was gone on some crazy quest to find her cutie mark with 2 other fillies. It's all pretty funny, really.
Applejack said, shaking her head, remembering all the ridiculous antics the trio had pulled. "Wait a minute. Is one of them on a scooter? I remember some filly coming to the shop earlier who couldn't stop yapping about cutie marks," Fix said.
Yeah, Scootaloo does. The wheel popped off her scooter the other day and she took it to get it fixed.
"Oh, so that's one of your friends. Who's the other you 3 then?" Fix asked.
Sweetie Belle, she's Miss Rarity's little sister. Together, we're the Cutie Mark Crusaders.
Applebloom shouted. "Yep." Big Mac sighed. He obviously heard her shout that one too many times to count.
Apple Bloom, quiet at the table.
Granny said. Applebloom promptly stopped shouting and slumped back in her seat. "I see. So tell me, who exactly is Miss Rarity?" Who exactly is Miss Rarity? Fix whispered to Applejack.
Trust me, you'll probably meet her eventually.
Applejack answered. "Well, a friend of the Apple family is a friend of mine. Tell them they can stop by the store anytime, and I'll fix their stuff absolutely free," Fix said.
Well, gee, thanks, I will.
Applebloom said. The group continued to chat and eat until near dark. It was nice. Fix hadn't had a conversation with any pony he considered family for years. It was a good change in pace.
So that's when I said, can't hear you. I'm asleep.
Applejack said, laughing with the others about the matter. Fix looked outside and noticed the sun had gone down. His eyes darted towards the clock, right by the snake. "Oh, heck. Just look at the time. I left the store open. Hope I didn't get any complaints, otherwise old Hammerplate's going to have a fit," Fix said, eyeballing the clock at the other side of the room in panic.
I completely understand. Listen, I run an apple stand in Ponyville most days. I'll see if I can't try and stop by the shop and visit every once in a while. Anyway, I'll walk you home.
Applejack said. "All right, then. I'm ready when you are. Nut, come on, we're heading out. Been great catching up with you all. Hope to do this again real soon, and I appreciate the hospitality," Fix said with a smile. He and Applejack left the table, along with Nut and Bolt. The 2 grabbed their hats, respectively, and waited until they were outside when they were outside to put them on. Fix had finally dried up the hat in satisfaction as he adjusted it to his head. The 3 started towards Ponyville and chatted on the way there. This time, Fix carried the tool bags on his back and could clearly see that Nut was in no condition for hauling anything else except his own 4 hooves. Fix could see that Nut was close to passing out. Probably ate too much of the apple pie. "So, Applejack, let's change right here for you," Fix asked.
Got myself into the strangest bunch of misfits you ever done seen. They're a good bunch, though.
Applejack said. "Really? You were never the old over-social type," Fix said.
Well, at first it was circumstance. But we started hanging around more often, and soon we found ourselves liking each other more and more. Maybe I should introduce y'all to each other sometime.
Applejack said. "Sounds great. They sure sound like an interesting bunch," Fix said.
You have no idea.
she said.
So what's changed for you, other than coming back here?
Applejack asked. Well, as you can see, little Nutbull over there is the newest addition to my company over there. He was born just about as soon as I came back to Manhattan. See, the reason we had to go back, well, I'll tell you when I get back to the store, all right? Fix said.
All right, we're just about there anywho. Ain't too far of a walk to Ponyville, is it?
Applejack asked. Nah. Fix said as I walked the pale moonlit night. He remembered how much he liked the cool and quiet nights in Ponyville. It was completely different from the sounds of the busy streets in Manhattan. Fix never got used to it, and he was never able to sleep well in that environment. The three trotted their way into the town shortly and walked into the shop. No complaints were waiting at the doorstep or the mailbox, to which Fix sighed with relief. They walked into the shop, and the bell chimed again as the door opened. As the lights were off, so either Aaron Plank wasn't back yet, or he'd already gone to bed. Nut, head up and get ready for bed. I'll be there in a few, Fix said, as Nut did as he told, and trotted up upstairs.
So, about y'all's reason for leaving?
Applejack asked, which I'm still mighty sorry about. Well, we got a telegram about Mom. She'd been carrying the colt and was due pretty soon. Dad would sometimes leave from Manhattan to go check on her without me, which is why I was able to stay as long as I did in Bonneville. But anyway, this time it was an emergency. She had gone into early labor. The doctor said she might not make it through, and really, it was really stressful on her. Fix stopped. He tried to clear his throat and speak again, but something was holding back.
Did she, make it?
Applejack asked in hesitation. Fix paused for a moment, then looked down at his hooves and kicked a bit of sawdust on the floor. No, she didn't. Dad blamed himself for not being there when he should have. And I told him it ain't his fault, but he never listened to me. Just told me that I didn't know what I was talking about, and I was just a kid, as usual. So, you see, he now had the burden of looking to her for Colt's at the time, and nothing me, and I took it harder than any pony else. And seemed content when he was fixing his work, so I really paying attention to us. I ended up having to look after him, raise myself, because Dad just couldn't do it. Anyways, after some time, we got word that the family down here needed some help. Dad's hooves were full, as usual. So I volunteered, go check out contested endlessly, but I went anyway. I just had to take a nut bolt. Dad said to. He knew he couldn't take care of him if I wasn't there, because he was so darn busy with his work. Honestly, I'm glad I never got the whole count thing like he did. Fix said, moving his hat and putting it on the hat stand. I just had to get out of there. I need to come back home where I knew I'd be more useful, more free. Applejack gave him a hug and spoke.
I'm so sorry, Fix Up. It all turned out that way. That's so sad. Why do you gotta tell me stuff like this?
Applejack asked. Fix looked her straight in the eyes. Because you asked, Jack, he said rather frankly.
Is there anything I can do for you, Fix? Anything at all?
Applejack asked. Nah, it's fine, Fix said. I think just getting to see you again is all I need. She stopped hugging him, stepped back, and spoke again.
I know you've got to put that silly colt to bed, and it's about time for Applebloom to get set down from that too. We both got things to do, so I guess I should be heading out.
Applejack said. I understand, Applejack. It's great catching up with you again, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I'll see you later, Fix said with a smile.
See you, Sugar Cube.
Applejack said as she left Fix's home in the workplace. There she went, calling him that name again. Fix looked over the workbench and stared at the scooter that he still needed to fix. Guess I'll have to wait till tomorrow, he muttered to himself. Fix walked upstairs to his little brother's room and opened the door. He was glad that Nutbull had done as he was told and was already in bed. He'd been clearly waiting for him. So, Nut, what'd you think of your opponent today? Fix asked him as he was walking to the bedroom.
Well, I guess Applebloom is okay, but she sure likes talking about Cutie martial art. Big Mac is pretty neat, but he doesn't like talking too much. Granny Smith is really nice, and her cooking is great. Although I think ate a little too much today.
Nut groaned as he rubbed his stomach. Yeah, what'd you think of Applejack? Fix asked Nut again, this time with a little more enthusiasm.
You sure seem to like her, Fix. Trying to impress her and stuff like that?
Nut replied. Hey now, what you talking about? Fix questioned in a defensive tone.
You were acting all funny around here. You like her or something?
Nut questioned his older brother in a serious manner. Now don't you get in funny things in your head, Nut. We're just really good friends and that's it, Fix said, hoping Nut would drop the subject altogether.
Yeah, okay. So how do you know the Apple family so well, Fix?
Nut asked. Right now? I guess I can tell you if you're interested in bedtime story. Fix said as he took a seat by Nut's bedside.
Yeah, that sounds great. This will be a new story I've never heard before.
Nut said, I guess I just forgot to tell you all over the years, little guy. Didn't think it was that important until now. Well, alright. And I'll start around here in Pointville. Dad and me came up with a business trip several years ago. Well, Dad was on a business trip, you see, Fix said.
Well, here's the shop, Adam.
Adam up, Fix's dad said, walking into the store. Adam had a charcoal black mane like his son, with a true blue coat. His eyes are gray as well. Adam up was a mathematician, a mathematical genius, even. His mark was a calculator down the screen that read 3.14. Him and Fix practically looked the same in almost every way, but personality-wise, they were worlds apart. His face is pretty neat, Fix said, running his hoof through all the nifty doodads that he had absolutely no idea what they were for.
Well, I'll be darned if it isn't my genius brother Adam. Come to finally help your big brother out with his little finance situation, eh?
Uncle Hammerplank said as he came walking out of the back of the shop.
It's good to see you again, Plank. I see you've kept the shop in good shape since I last saw it.
Adam said as he gave his brother a hug.
Fix, get to the interesting part.
I swear. Alright, fine. Anyway, I was there for a couple of weeks, and I noticed this hiring now sign. It was for Sweet Apple Acres, and they had apparently lost a very helpful pony who had run away to Manhattan. Anyway, with my dad's consent, I offered my assistance. And you see old Plank had begun showing me how to use some of the tools while Dad was busy with the paperwork. So I figured I'd give it a shot and see if it was any good at fixing stuff rather than just hang around the store all bored and such. As you can tell, they accepted my help. Fortunately, I wasn't so good at bucking apple trees, so it was difficult at first, Fix said.
Then what?
Not asked. Well, a couple weeks of working there, I discovered what I was pretty good at. You guessed it, Fix said, running a hoover next to his heater mark.
Wrenches?
Not asked. No, you silly colt. Fixing stuff. I managed to get to fix the wagon, the plow, the pump, all kinds of other things. I was really helpful there. Then Applejack returned from Manhattan. Turns out she's the old pony who had run away, Fix said.
Applejack? Manhattan? So that's why she mentioned earlier.
Nut said, seeming a little less confused than before. Yeah, go figure, right? State lamp just ain't for her either, Fix said.
Just like you?
Nut asked. Just like me, Fix replied. Oh, this darn thing just won't come loose, Fix shouted, twisting a wrench with all of his might. Nut fell off and the plow fell apart. Finally, I can get the clean. He was interrupting by Big Mac shouting at the barn. Hey, Fix! Some pony would like you to meet, Big Mac shouted, and orange filly with a blonde mane tied at the end, staying with her tail, trotted to the barn and gave Fix a shy smile. Here's Applejack. She's a silly filly who left from Manhattan a while back. The one told you about? Oh, wait, that was Granny Smith. Whoops, sorry.
Doing my part, man.
Introducing her granddaughter. Anyway,
Hey.
Fix has been such a great... Oh, right. Sorry.
Anyway, Fix, you've been such a great help to the farm, and...
I get it. I'm not needed anymore, Fix said as he passed Applejack and the rest, and exited the barn. Everyone looked behind themselves with a confused expression on their face.
Hey, where are you going?
Applejack asked the departing colt. Home. Fix replied with an audible sorrow as he kept walking. He proceeded to move towards the gate, saddened that he was no longer required at Sweet Apple Acres. He had just passed the threshold of the gate when he heard some pony shouting behind him to wait up. He knew who it was and kept walking. She was a fast filly, that one. She caught up to him and spoke once more.
You know, it's mighty rude to walk out on some ponies introducing themselves, so let's try again. I'm Applejack.
Applejack said to Fix. Fix, I'm sorry. I was filling in the hole you left when you went to Manhattan. Now that you're back, I'm not needed anymore, Fix replied.
Hey, now, that's not true. Nobody around here fixes anything. Hamplague's the only one, and half the time he's never in the shop anyway. Looks like you're real helpful to have around here.
Applejack said, attempted to console the sad colt. Are you sure I'm still needed? Fix asked
Yeah.
Applejack.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Come on, Sugar Cube, let's go ask Gran if you can stay. I'll bet she'll even let you help with the upcoming harvest.
Applejack said, gesturing for Fix to follow. Sugar Cube. That made Fix smile for some reason. He turned around and trotted behind Applejack to Sweet Apple Acres. A few more months had passed. In the time Applejack and Fix had learned more about each other. They found that they even had a lot in common. Fix continued to fix things around Sweet Apple Acres, and Applejack even taught him how to properly buck an apple tree. Dang it! I'm never going to get those darn apples out of that tree, Fix shouted as he kicked at the tree, and he had been kicking all morning. The apples would shake, but none of them would fall out.
It's all right, Sugar Cube. You just got to practice a little more. You got to put all your kick into your hind legs, and you've got to make sure you hit the very center of the trunk. Here, let me show you.
Applejack said as she walked up to the tree. Fix backed off and allowed her to stand where he was a moment ago. Applejack balanced herself on her front legs and gave the tree a hard kick right in its center. Immediately, several apples came loose and fell to the ground.
Now you try.
Applejack said, giving a little nudge. Fix nodded to her. He took his place again. Fix tried to balance himself just as Applejack had done, pulled his hind legs back as far as he could, and let out a loud grunt as he kicked with all of his might. His back hoof hit the trunk dead center. The whole tree began to shake, and soon a barrage of apples came plummeting towards them. They soon found themselves buried in apple piles. Applejack and Fix popped out at their heads with a little smile and stared at each other in bewilderment. The two then childishly laughed and giggled at each other.
So what happened next?
Nut asked. Well, you see, Dad's business trip turned into a really long visit. We were there for a good 5 or so months as he kept the business afloat. As such, I continued to help out Sweet Apple Acres. I even helped with the harvest, like Applejack had said, until we got word about Mom's situation in Manhattan. We had to go back. Dad and I fought about it, boy, don't we ever. But he pulled the "I'm your father and I know best" card. Of course, he never did explain to me then what was wrong with Mom. Wish he had. Leaving that farm was the saddest days of my life. But I was given a couple parting gifts, you see, aside from the good memories, Vic said, looking back in the past.
Like?
I'd asked. The hat you saw today, and this here harmonica, Vic said as he brandished the polished silver harmonica that he brought from his room.
Well, I get the harmonica, but what's the hat got to do with anything?
Hold on, Crazy Colt, I'm getting to it, Fix said.
Fix, before you go, we want you to have something.
Applejack shouted at Fix, who was about to step into the carriage with his father in it. What's that? Fix asked. Applejack hoofed over a black hat similar to hers, minus the gap in the front.
Yeah, Granddaddy's old hat and harmonica fixed up a lot of stuff back when he lived here. Ran the farm with Granny. And we ain't never found anybody who'd be fit to give it to, aside from you. We'll give it to you on one condition.
Applejack said. Fix could barely speak. He knew how significant these objects were to the Apple family. He was able to weakly ask, cheering up hurriedly, "What?" to Applejack.
Promise you'll come back someday. The farm won't be the same without you. We'll miss you, Fix.
Applejack said with a sad tone in her voice. I promise I'll come back someday. Cross my heart, hope to fly, stick an apple in my eye, I promise, Fix said with a weak smile.
I'll hold you to it. But until then, Sugar Cube.
Fix leaned in. She leaned in and gave Fix a hug.
Good look out there, all right?
Applejack said, smiling to him. Fix began to pull away, but Applejack wouldn't let go just yet. Fix didn't try to fight it and let him hug her a little longer.
Fix, we need to go now.
Adam shouted from the carriage. Applejack finally let go of Fix, with a sad expression imaginable. I'm sorry, Jack. Fix looked as he took a few steps back.
Fix, I'm not going to tell you again. Let's go.
Adam yelled. He was getting angry now. Fix got into the carriage and the door closed. He watched as he had taken away his father, and he left Sweet Apple Acres in Ponyville, unsure of as whether he'd see it ever again. And in that same time lived in Manhattan, you were born. Now we're here, and we're here to stay, all right, Nut? Fix asked.
That's a kind of sad story, Fix.
Nut said. I know, but I'm back, ain't I? Fix said.
Say, Fix?
Nut said as he began to sink under the sheets in his bed. What is it, Nut? Fix asked.
What was Mom like?
Nut asked. Fix stopped for a moment, then gave Nut a little smile and rubbed his mane. She was a real nice mare, Nut. Real pretty. You got her eyes, too, and let me tell you, she had some of the prettiest eyes you'd ever done seen. The way she would smile always brightened up your day. She really did love you, Dad, and me with all her heart. She'd proud to see how you'd grown up. Sure, she's somewhere in a better place right now, Fix said. Nut didn't notice, but Fix was now fighting back a couple of small tears.
Yeah, okay. Say, could you play on the harmonica?
Nut asked. Yeah, all right, sure. Then it's off to bed, you hear? Fix asked. He quickly rubbed his eyes.
Oh, don't. Oh, what a surprise. Well, what's that coming?
Fix awoke with joy, and within moments, Nut and Bolt was fast asleep. Fix got up, went to his room, and laid in his bed. He stared at the window for a little bit. It was a full moon out tonight. A handful of stars, a hoofful of stars, were scattered across the night sky. He began pondering over the day's events. It was so great to see the Apple family again. Big Mac was just as chatty as usual. Granny was her sweet old self. Appleman was a rambunctious little filly, and quite adorable nonetheless, an Applejack. Fix lay on his back and stared up at the darkened ceiling. There was definitely something different about her. Fix couldn't place his hoof on it, but he also didn't know why he'd acted so nervous in front of her today. He'd never done that with her before. Fix shrugged himself and turned him aside. He'd have plenty of time to think about it some other day, though one particular thought ran through his mind. Maybe... she's just a really good full-hood friend. At least I think she is. I'm pretty sure I'm just thinking about it too much. Yeah, I just need to sleep, he thought. So he turned up the light and began to drift off to sleep. Tomorrow, he knew, would be an interesting and eventful day. And that's that.
That's chapter 1.